Hey, homeowners. Shaun Miller here, owner of Foundation Solutions Group, and we are with Beneath the Surface today. Well, we have a very special guest. Her name is Jennifer Kas, and she is the director of the Red Cross here in Bowling Green, Kentucky. And great cause, especially now with some of the things going on in the world. Mary is very fond of the Red Cross. So is Tanya Roth that just left here. So great bunch of folks here, and let's learn about what they do and why they do what they do and how they do it. And if you want to participate, how you can contribute, or whether it's time or monetary, we can do that. But you guys have a lot of great programs. Tell us about some of what's on the radar and some of what you just maybe recently have done, and what does that look like, a day in the life of the Red Cross?
Most people, when they first think of Red Cross, they think of blood donations. We collect about 40% of the nation's blood supply.
40%.
So we have great programs to link up specific types of blood. You know, if you download the Red Cross Blood app on your phone, it tells you where your blood goes. So it might go to a veterans center, or it might be used for children in one of the children's hospitals. It's really cool to track that.
That is neat.
And you can give about 6 times a year. So you can really impact a lot of lives, because one unit could save up to 3 lives when it's separated out and how it's done. So that's what we're kind of most known for. And then disaster preparedness, disaster response, recovery, all those sorts of things.
Disaster relief.
Yes.
So boots on the ground, so to speak.
Yes.
I was not aware of that. I've learned that recently. Also, they do a minority fire alarm program where it may be English is not your primary language. They come in and they try to update, give you the information. A lot of people don't know that these smoke alarms have a shelf life and they need to be renewed and restored and at least paid attention to. It's not fix it and forget it kind of thing. And so Mary's adamant at our house about changing batteries, changing smoke alarms after they're 3-4 years old, just to make sure that they work. So neat. So boots on the ground. I just didn't realize. I was thinking, it sounds like you're talking about the civil service. Like, you guys actually go out into the field and you're like helping these people. You're bringing water, food? So
we're not the first responders, but we like to think of ourselves kind of as the second responders. We're there to do mass care. So if there's a home fire in the community, and our teams get a call, we like to be with that family within 2 hours. And it may not work that we're there within 2 hours. We may be the next day, just whatever works. But we want to make sure that family has a place to sleep tonight, that they have the food and clothing that they need. And we help them for about those first 72 hours to meet those immediate emergency needs that you're just in shock. You've just lost everything and you don't know what to do. So we want to help kind of give them some stability. And in most cases, it's based on their need, but we put a client assistance card in their hand and they are in control of their initial recovery. So it puts money back into the economy and it gives them the power to, maybe they need a hotel room, maybe they need work boots. We've just added a program where they can get an allowance for spiritual care. So maybe you've lost your Bible or your rosary in the fire. We can help them with that. And then we also do health services and mental health services after a fire.
Mental health services and what else?
Health services.
Health services.
So if they've lost oxygen tanks, if they've lost equipment, walkers, wheelchairs, medications, hearing aids, absolutely.
Alarm clock.
Yes.
So they've installed a alarm clock in my mother's house that has a sniffer on it. So because my mom's very, very hard of hearing, and if she can barely hear at all, but this thing has the sniffer on it and it will alarm you. And I have one as well, but they actually installed that thing. So that was part of the fire alarm program. So they have they have different branches and stuff, but the mental health side, let's talk about that, because I think the public's becoming more and more aware of how this is really a situation. This is just not an exaggeration. And this is a police officers are tied up dealing with maybe an autism situation where maybe this guy's not functioning the right way. And that's probably not the right approach, to show up with, blue lights and a uniform and be like, you're going to do what your mom says or whatever. So tell us more about that. How does Red Cross assist in that, or when are you alerted to that, or how does that work?
So, a single family fire, if that's a need that caseworker identifies, then they reach out to our mental health team. And then on large scale disasters, that's one of the first groups on the ground. On a large event, we're doing mass care. So we're providing feeding, sheltering, and health services and mental health services and spiritual care. So when you show up at that shelter and you check in, you're kind of going to talk through a health services screening to make sure that you're not missing anything or you don't need some extra care. And then that mental health, I think we all in Warren County specifically, in Kentucky specifically, we've had floods, we've had tornadoes, we've had severe weather. And once that happens, you're always on alert, right? Like you are always thinking about those sirens going off and could it hit again? Could it hit where I am? And I think everybody's just on edge about that. So,
like PTSD. I mean, it's real. So.
And the sirens today are going to go off at noon for a test, right? So when you think about that and all the people that survived that tornado, right? I have friends that I still reach out to and say, there's a warning today at 12. Like, it's not severe weather. Like, it's a warning because it just triggers something. So, and I think now that what we're seeing with this flooding that's happened in the last week across the country, everybody needs to be paying attention because you don't know, you just need to be more alert. And then that mental health services is there. The way that we cope with it is different from how our kids cope with it. We need to make sure that they've got the resources and tools that they need.
And all these events are stressful. And like a fire is probably one of the most stressful things that you could ever go through because you lose everything and it's just toast after that. But spirituality, that's a real thing. It's a real deal. In my perception of the Red Cross, I can remember paintings that were done. Who was one of these artists? I would see pictures of the Red Cross, and it was a spiritual event, and the spirituality. What makes somebody from the Red Cross? How do you guys cope with all that? I mean, that's a lot. That's a lot.
So, as Red Crossers and as volunteers and staff, there are spiritual care, mental health services there for us as well. When I was responding to the tornado, I felt like, that was the most stressful thing I've ever dealt with in my life, personally or professionally. And it seemed like every time I turned around, there were 3 people there to catch me. Like if I needed it, like they kept a good eye on me. Like they knew, and they knew when I needed to walk away. They knew when I needed to go outside for a break.
It's like this piggy bank.
Yes.
And there's nobody putting the pennies in. There's just people taking the pennies out. You come to this point where, hey, I need some, lift me up.
Yeah. And they really help to take care of people like that.
So these are other senior members of the Red Cross that come in and help.
So our health services and mental health services are licensed providers. You and I couldn't get the training unless we had a degree and a license and all that kind of stuff. So it is professionals.
And so they make a salary. They're
volunteers.
How does Red Cross make is it all contributions? Is there federal funds? Is there state funds?
So 90% of our workforce is volunteers.
90% of their workforce is volunteers. Are you kidding me?
And then the community and corporations support the work that we do.
So
we get a few government dollars through grants, but that is not our. No, we rely on the community.
Is corporate.
Yes, and individuals really.
And individuals.
Yeah.
So you guys have fundraisers to try to raise money, or just? Is it more like a big United Way kind of approach? I mean,
honestly, it's just making the ask. It's individual personal asks. There are some fundraisers. There are a few across the state. We don't have any necessarily in South Central Kentucky. It's social media. It's seeing the events and knowing that you can trust the Red Cross. We're like the number 2 trusted brand in the country behind the library.
Number 2 trusted brand behind the library. I'm just shocked at how much I don't know about the Red Cross, and maybe you're in the same boat. I mean, we feel like we know who the Red Cross is, and we feel like they know what they've done. I've already learned so many things today in the last 10 minutes that I didn't know. So, wow. So, what drives you? Is it the gratification of helping people? Do you feel like sometimes you're not helping them enough, or what? Or do you feel like you're extremely powerful and like changing the before after? What?
I think we always feel like we don't help enough. Like you're there. We are there during people's darkest hour,
right?
Darkest moment. They've lost everything. With blood donations, you might need 1 unit of blood. I saw a story the other day that said the lady needed every unit of blood that was in the hospital for whatever happened in that situation.
Wow.
A car accident, something like that. Blood transfusions for people with cancer. We also do service to the armed forces. So we're sending emergency communication messages for our families here at home, to our military, if there's a death, sickness, birth. the Red Cross verifies that information for the commanding officer, and then they can make a decision on whether or not that service member can come home. So life's emergencies, the Red Cross is really there.
So you guys are heroes. And I like what you said. We're not first responders, we're second responders, but who thinks about it that way? So what's why is a Red Cross person? I mean, are they always a Red Cross person? What's a career path like later in life? What do you got? They tend to still be doing the Red Cross thing, and
we hope. I mean, honestly, our probably youngest volunteers, majority would be like lifeguards at the pool, right? They've taken Red Cross certification to become a lifeguard, or you've taken swim lessons as a child, with Red Cross, and then we try to capture them in high school and in college as blood donors, and then we hope that their corporation, that their business will support us, that they will support us, and then in retirement, or even if their company allows, that they'll come and be a volunteer with us, that they'll respond to local fires, that when their schedule allows, maybe they'll be trained and they'll go out for a 2-week deployment on one of these larger events, and can really be a part of helping the people that have been displaced and impacted.
So do Kentucky Red Crossers help Tennessee Red Crossers, Texas? I mean, what does that look like? How big is this organization, and how?
Absolutely. So we deploy people anywhere in the country where there's a need. There are a few special folks that have the international track that would deploy internationally based on language and knowledge and skills in those situations. But, we've sent people to Hawaii and we've sent people to Tennessee. And then, earlier this year, we had several that went to London and Somerset and helped with those tornadoes there.
Right. The floods. Year before last, I guess.
Yes. I mean, we were in disaster mode from, I think, the middle of April until the end of June in Kentucky. We had 3 consecutive disaster relief operations. So, you don't even have to leave the state really to find a way to help.
Right. I can see that too. So, wow. It's, let's just say I'm going to make a donation to the Red Cross. What percentage of that donation makes it to the people that it's supposed to be? Is it 90%, or do you know?
It's 90%. 90% goes back into the communities.
It's a big deal. Just something I pay attention to. And, you don't always know if you're getting a straight answer with that, but, I'll make a contribution of only 40% of that's going to end up where it's supposed to go. I'll just give them the contribution myself. So, fundraisers, and you're doing the ask recruiting. What does that look like? Do you all approach people, or people approach the Red Cross? And what does that person look like? Is that somebody that their parents were Red Crossers, or they have a friend that the Red Cross?
It really is different across the board. Honestly, we find it's easiest if you bring a friend, right? Once you're volunteering with the Red Cross and you bring a friend and engage them because they've heard your personal story. Most people, if you sit down and talk to them, our volunteers, they have a reason that they're there. Maybe they lost their home in a fire. Right. Their mother worked blood drives their whole lives growing up. So they saw that giving aspect. My dad was a volunteer fireman for 30 years. So that service is just kind of instilled in you, I feel like. So when you find what makes the most sense and where that matches, I can sit behind a computer all day long, but my favorite thing is to teach disaster preparedness and hands-only CPR to refuge BG participants. I did that last week. There's 2 days a year that are my favorite days. And it's when you are speaking these things and they're translated into 5 to 9 languages.
Wow.
It is unbelievable. It is my favorite thing to do. But I also love installing smoke alarms in homes, and knowing that people are safer that night and that community's safer, and the firemen are relieved because they know that person will wake up if there is a fire in that house.
And the knowledge that you share, I mean, who would have thought of the smoke alarm doesn't last 25 years? Because some of us have the same smoke alarms that the house was built with. And so
it expires in 10. So you want to replace your smoke alarms after 10 years.
And it's also important where it's at. So
exactly.
It's a big deal. It's and maybe if you are a minority and you move here, you think that maybe those things are regulated by the government or something, but they're not. It takes the homeowner being educated and to know. And so that's where you all play this role. So we talk about monetary, 90% of that goes to where it's supposed to go to. What if you're a volunteer and you want to get involved with the Red Cross? You want to be giving of your time. How do you do that?
So we ask you to start at redcross.org/volunteer. So you're going to start with an initial application process. And then one from our team is going to follow up with you and kind of, they're not going to put you in a hole, but they're going to kind of direct you and refer you to an area or several areas where you can learn more about the different programs that we offer. So maybe you want to go into disaster services and you want to be a disaster action team member. That's what we need the most of right now.
Right.
Is people that respond to local fires. We responded to 186 home fires in our 22 counties last year.
Wow.
So we need teams of 2 to go out and provide that assistance. We need somebody that sits back and deploys those people out, right? That gets that phone call and then works through the logistics to get the right team out. We have blood donor ambassadors that sit at the blood drive and make sure that you're registered and checked in and go through that process. We're doing preparedness. We're doing community volunteer leads that are helping to help me connect with all of the counties that we serve to make sure that we have that presence. We're recruiting board members. We want to kind of double our board in size. So we want to grow awareness. We want to just help people understand the importance, provide the preparedness key. We're teaching hands-only CPR, which is just a 20 or 30-minute course that we can come in and teach your staff or group or classroom. And it's just to let you know if somebody goes down and you see them, that you can provide chest compressions until help arrives to keep the blood circulating.
Right.
So, there's a number of ways to get involved. Start at redcross.org/volunteer, fill out that information. And then somebody's going to kind of help you see what makes the most sense. You could serve with service to the armed forces. We have caseworkers that work with the families to make sure that their needs are met and that message is delivered to the military.
I can remember a time, it seems like if our family's going through a crisis, then we're affected a little bit more by that crisis and we might not make the exact right decision. And it's so, on the other side of that is, I remember being in a restaurant one time and there's this guy sitting right here across from me and he's choking and everybody in his table, he just froze. They didn't know what was going on. And I'm like, it looked like the whole restaurant froze. And I'm like, the guy is choking and he's like 3 times my size. I ran over there, picked him up out of his chair and, I'm doing this thing. And so in my mind, 2 things. Number one, he finally tapped me because I panicked. I wasn't going to make sure this guy didn't choke to death. I was scared to death. But anyway, and I just got done reading the process back in the of how to do that. And so, your thumb and where to put it and the placement 2 fingers below. And so anyway, with this guy, he's breathing again, So, but one part of that was, am I going to be liable if this guy dies and I try to save his life? Do people have to worry about like giving CPR? Is that a myth or is that true? Or do you know?
So if you're trained in CPR and you're certified, you can do the full CPR. What we're doing is compressions only. But like what I told a group that I talked to last week is, if you're doing compressions on me, I'm dead. Right? Like I'm not breathing. Like I'm laying there and I'm dead. You're keeping the blood flowing and hopefully there's an AED or, my heart will restart. So if you break my ribs, the only thing that I could be mad about you is I didn't want to be alive. Right.
Right.
So you are protected if you're certified. And then, you're just doing what and oftentimes it's somebody in your family, it's oftentimes a loved one.
Right.
That you want to keep with you, right?
I have frozen before when it's a family member because you're affected like that. And sometimes it's easier from a third party to come in because they're not affected emotionally. They're just trying to make the right decision and do the right thing. So I can see where that's a plus. And then you're not, I can see you getting carried away.
Well, I was doing the back blows on my son when he was 4 or 5, he choked on candy. Right. And I did the same thing you did. I just kept. And the neighbor was like, it came out. And I was like, I just kept.
They're like, okay, that's good. But
you need somebody there to tell you when it's time to stop. Yeah.
Right. So, man, and who wants to watch a loved one go through that? Because my little brother choked one time and me and my twin sister, we just my dad sprung into action and all that, but I guess that's what dads are for. So, but anyway, well, awesome. So you've been with Red Cross how long? I
think I'm going on 19 years.
10 years?
19.
19 years?
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Longer than I ever imagined.
That's commitment. So 19 years. And so what's your story about what brought you to the Red Cross?
So I started at nonprofits in college and we moved to Lexington. My father-in-law passed away. And when we were moving back, this position was open. And I didn't know anything about the Red Cross at that time. So at that time I had 7 counties and we've grown to 22 counties. And I mean, you get up every day's different.
Right.
You get up and you get to serve and you get to help. And it really just makes sense. It doesn't make sense, but it makes sense for me. Right.
Right. And so what restores you? Is it coming home to see your family, or is it a vacation? Is it meditation? Is it spiritual? How do you restore? I mean,
definite vacation. Yeah. So last weekend we went to West Virginia and we whitewater rafted and zip lined and went mudding and all the things, and just completely disconnect. Right. Like that's what I've got to do, is completely disconnect
and try to get out of your element, get out of this,
get
out of those 22 counties,
because disaster never stops.
Right.
Like it's 24/7. Your phone is on 24/7. You're ready 24/7.
And it's wow. So that's so yeah. I just can't imagine. I can see giving, but and I know you get back, and I know you see purpose, and so I'm just speculating. I don't know. I'm speculating, but to be serviced all the time, and the reward, because you don't really get to come back maybe 10 years later and be like, oh, this is what happened because of what we did, right? Because you're there in the heat of the moment, and then you've got to move on to the next disaster or the next thing. So wow, so thank you for what you do. How many people are here in Bowling Green and the area with the Red Cross? Is it just a few? Is it
so we have a little over 400, I think 420 volunteers that we have, and we're serving a population of about 618,000 people. We're a staff of 4. We need volunteers.
Wow. So resources, they're pretty good trainers. They train my staff in a very short period of time of how to do these smoke alarms. So I thought it was pretty straightforward. And so you guys have a lot of, how do you all have like websites that will help with the resources, but you also have in-person training. If you're a volunteer, you don't have to worry about not knowing what to do, because they're going to take care of that.
Yes. Right? A lot of our training's online, so anybody can do it anywhere. And then we do have in-person. We have monthly disaster volunteer meetings, a lot of connections to be involved with the local chapter, but also with the Kentucky region as a whole.
So I can see the volunteers. Are the volunteers just every once in a while? They're on a certain, I know there's different levels, but do they tend to keep coming to all of the events, or do they need a little bit of a break and then you come back and rotate?
It really depends. We have one volunteer who she just deploys nonstop, and every time she comes back, they're like, she's going to stay home now. And now she's ready to go again. Like some of them keep their bags packed.
Right.
They come home and do their laundry and they're ready to go the next time.
Wow.
And then some of them need a break. It is trying, but you're also filled up, and when you encounter somebody in the community and that, they've received life-saving blood, or we brought home their son when, granddad was sick in the hospital and he got to be there from the military, or you've helped with a home fire, or just provided that bit of hope. That's what it's all about.
Wow. Priceless at that point. So if you want to volunteer, you say you go to the website and you'll fill out the paperwork. Somebody's going to be back in touch.
Yes. And
then you encourage them to bring a friend. Would that be a good move? Maybe bring a friend from
family. Absolutely. Yes. Tag team. We're sending out our disaster action teams in pairs of 2. So you can bring your partner, and you're not going to go out solo right away. They're going to train you up, but you all can be that team. We've had a lot of couples that, if you're going to get that call at 3:00 in the morning, it's easier for a couple to get out of bed together than, 2 households.
She said earlier when there was a fire, they dispatched team to 2. So, and I caught that. So that's what she's talking about now.
Yeah.
That you're not necessarily solo. You've got somebody there with you.
Yeah. So. We never send you out by yourself.
Right. Which is a good thing. So awesome. So if there needs to be a corporation that wants to gets involved in supporting you all financially, how do you go about doing that?
They can just reach out to the local office. The phone number is 270-781-7377. And I think there's a fundraising option there, and we'll reach back out. But, we want to come into those corporations and teach them hands-only CPR. We want to teach them disaster preparedness. We want to teach them home fire safety. We also have a Be Red Cross Ready program that not Be Red Cross Ready rating. And it's a program where your company can go through this online spreadsheet, and it shows you where your weaknesses are. so that you can recover quicker from a disaster if it impacts you. So there's yellow light, red light, green light, right? So your green light, like you're good to go.
Right.
And then red is what you really need to work on, but it's going to kind of grade out that system for your business and corporation. So there's lots of opportunities to not just give, but to be a part of the planning process.
So do you feel like, not to generalize, but I'm going to say Kentuckians or maybe Southerners, are Americans, maybe? Are they pretty giving of their time? What does that response look like when you need people, or do you feel like it's a constant encouragement to get these
we
people?
Constantly need more. We constantly need to grow. And honestly, with these continuous extreme is not the right word, disasters that we're having, like it's constant. We need more volunteers. We need more community partners. We need people in the community to step up and say, my organization will be trained in sheltering. So if there is a need for sheltering, we'll come in and work that until more volunteers can come in, or we'll just work that for you all, for that duration. And we ask our people to do like a 12-hour shift. So having local people in each community, and then with different languages spoken, having people in those different populations and groups that can help. When we had the shelter open after the tornadoes in, was that 2021? We had 17 languages spoken in that shelter.
Yeah. Wow.
I mean, when you think about that, you think about the dietary needs, you think about just the communication. Oftentimes it's the children that are bilingual, and they're having to have hard conversations that you're interpreting through a child with an adult.
With an adult to translate to their parents.
Exactly. After some devastation. So we do need more community involvement and community support, because these disasters are not stopping, and they're becoming much more frequent.
So an example of that might be, we're contractors, right? So if we're the tarping crew and there's a roof or tornado that hits, in this area again, we can come out and like temporarily do tarps and stuff. Like, where like, is that something like what you're talking about, like sheltering, or are you talking about like?
So what we would use you for, like we would want you trained to operate a shelter. So you would be kind of that staff that's there for those 12 hours to make sure that the needs are met, and you're kind of managing that process.
Right. So they don't really do the Habitat for Humanity kind of thing, or do they?
We don't. That's where the partners come in the long term.
Okay.
Habitat and building groups and things like that.
So you're more of the first
stage. Very first, to make sure they've got a safe place to stay, that they've got food, and then as it grows, like we need forklift drivers, and we need people to do warehousing and shelter or bulk distribution of cleanup kits and delivering tarps out to families and homes. Like we wouldn't put them on, but we would deliver them out in the community.
Don't put them on, but okay, great, because that makes sense. So, like your hierarchy of needs: a dry place to sleep, a safe place to restore and reconnect with your family and loved ones, and to let them know you're okay. What's the communication side of that look like? Is it cell phones and laptops and computers?
It is. And there's actually a national, I'm drawing a blank on Safe and Well. So like you can go in and register here. And then if your family in Arizona is looking for you, then,
they know
you're
okay.
registered in the system.
Oh.
So there is communication like that to make sure that people are taken care of. And, you'll have partners that come in and they've got every phone charger you can imagine to help people charge phones. And, as things are out, there are generators in the community that, we can get access to. So
if you're displaced, the mind runs crazy. They don't know if you're alive, if you're not alive, if you've been so you register on this line, and then this person can find that you're okay because you're registered on there. So thank goodness for that, because of not knowing, I guess. Wow. So you guys deal with a lot. So thank you for what you do. I have no idea. I don't know why and how I would not know that the Red Cross does so many things, but I do know that Mary is extremely fond of what you guys do. And I can't remember. We were just sitting there on the couch and something happened, and Mary said, I'm going to send a donation to the Red Cross for this, and I can't remember the details, but
I mean, and we get donations. It can be specific. it could be across the country, it could be around the world. There, we do have those partnerships internationally where if they ask us to support, we can. So even when there's big things, people trust the Red Cross to make sure that those funds are there.
So that's what she did. There was a specific event that was dear to her, and she made a contribution for that specific event. So that's nice. It's nice to know that you can target that situation like that. So, redcross.org, you said org, not .com, but redcross.org. If you're interested in becoming a volunteer or maybe using some of these resources that they have to do some due diligence on how you might contribute your time or your money. And Jennifer Kas, do you have an office? Is it a Red Cross office, or do you work from home? Or
I work a lot from home, but we're actually in the center there with Kids on the Block.
Oh, that's right. Oh, the nonprofit.
We have an office there. Yeah.
So the what do they call that? The what center? The Higgins Center. Yeah, yes. For nonprofit. Yes. Perfect. So funny how these guys are all in cahoots. So we love Kids on the Block too. So that's awesome. So they'll get you connected so that you can serve, and it's been very meaningful. It sounds like maybe the last 19 years. She never thought she'd be here this long, and here she is. So 19 years from now, she's probably still going to be maybe at the Red Cross.
Don't do that.
She's going to be like a Red Cross ninja at that time. So she probably already is 19 years. But well, thank you for what you do and all your peeps, and keep doing what you're doing.
Well, thanks for showcasing us. We appreciate it.
Yes, hope we learned today, and if not, that we can learn more about what you guys do and how it helps. So,
and your partnerships in the past, we've utilized you all for translation and installation of smoke alarms. So
we get so occupied. We should do more. We absolutely should. We've changed our structure some, so we're not as bilingual anymore. So those things change. But that's another example of how things kind of,
absolutely.
Microclimate. So, but awesome. So thank you. And glad for you visiting us today, and glad to have you. And we can revisit in the future sometime. See
Sounds great.
Things are going.
Thank you.
Until next time, folks. Hope you've learned about the Red Cross. Redcross.org if you need to, and we look forward to seeing you again next time.